Oh boy, do I have a tenant, their prospective tenant, that is absolutely pissed off at me. Here's what happened. I have a property that this person looked at, found to be suitable for what they wanted to move into, put in an application. I pre-screened it. They've then got approved. I gave them the lease agreement. They reviewed the lease agreement. They signed the lease agreement that they were going to move into this property on a 12-month fixed term lease. That's important here. Now, that lease doesn't even start until February 1st. Come up now, they've decided they do not want to move into the property, so they want to cancel that lease. Well, I've had the property off the market now for, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks. No one has looked at it. I haven't been making any attempt to re-rent it because it was already rented. It was rented to these people that now have backed out. As a landlord and as a tenant, what are your responsibilities now? Well, first of all, the contract, the lease agreement is a binding contract that was signed by the tenant and the landlord. So the tenant is saying, yes, I'm going to take this property for 12 months. Now, if they back out, what is the responsibility that they have to it? And what is the responsibility for the landlord? Does the landlord just let them out? Does he let them just walk away? Well, no. They have a signed lease agreement, which means that landlord can hold that prospective tenant responsible for that lease until which point they get it re-rented. That's critical. Now, if that landlord doesn't get it re-rented for 2, 3, 4 months down the road, that prospective tenant is still responsible for the loss in rental revenue for that landlord. And the tenant, you know what, they need to pay for it. Now, in this case, the tenant had actually paid security deposit and 1 month's rent, which would have been February's rent. And now, as a landlord, your responsibility is to actively try to re-rent that property. So I do have that property up on the market. It is listed for rent. Once I get it re-rented, then that tenant, the one that decided not to move in, is off the hook of that lease. I have to though be actively trying to re-rent it. I can't just say that, hey, I'm just going to re-rent it and not really do much. I have to actively be re-renting it in order to hold her responsible for that lease. So don't just back out of lease agreements without knowing what your ramifications are. And number 2, landlord, know what your actions are that you need to do now when this happens, because unfortunately it does. So know your rights, know the Residential Tenancy Act, the RTA in Alberta, so that you're protected both on the landlord and on the tenant side. I'm Jody. If you need any assistance with this kind of stuff, please feel free to reach out to me.